M2 Bradley is a U.S. infantry fighting vehicle named in honor of General Omar Bradley. It was created in the second half of the 1970s on the basis of the XM 723 prototype, taking into account the experience of combat use of the Soviet BMP-1 and the design features of the German BMP Marder as a better protected and armed replacement for the M113 armoured personnel carrier. The crew of the M2 BMP consists of 3 people and can carry up to 6 infantrymen in the troop compartment. The M3 Bradley Combat Reconnaissance Vehicle is based on it. The M3 Bradley was put into service in 1981 and 9,753 copies of all variants were produced. It was used by US troops in the wars in the Persian Gulf, Iraq and Afghanistan. Also used by the Ukrainian Army in the Russian-Ukrainian War. M2 Bradley are in service with armoured brigades of the US Army. The total number of armoured brigades, not counting the Army National Guard, reaches 11 formations. Work on the development of a BMP for the US Army began in 1964 as part of the MICV-70 program and ended in 1981 with the adoption of the M2 Bradley. In the course of this work, several variants of BMPs were created, which were both variants of deep modernisation of the M113 and fundamentally new vehicles. The first attempt was the XM 701 developed by the Pacific Car and Foundry Company. In 1965, 6 prototypes were assembled. The XM 701 had reinforced armouring compared to the M113 APC, embrasures in the sloping sides, and a 20mm gun in a double turret. However, a number of shortcomings of the vehicle, insufficient cross-country speed, excessive weight and overall dimensions, prevented it from being adopted for service. The next attempt to create a lightweight BMP based on the M113 was made by FMC, Food Machinery and Chemical Corporation, in 1967. Its prototype XM 765 consisted of 90% of M113A1 parts and assemblies. The shape and dimensions of the hull were changed. The frontal and side armour was reinforced with steel plates and a 20mm M139 automatic cannon was installed. In 1973, due to the end of the war in Vietnam, the costs of new developments for the Army were drastically reduced and work on the project XM 765 was actually curtailed. The XM 765 AIFV, Armoured Infantry Fighting Vehicle, with 25mm KVA V0, 2 Oerlikon automatic cannon was adopted for service in the Netherlands, Belgium, Turkey and the Philippines. The MICV-70 project was considered too complicated and expensive, and in 1971 it was decided to create a simpler and cheaper BMP. The M2 hull is welded, made of aluminium armour grades 7039 and 5083. The armour is differentiated with different angles of inclination. On the M2A0 and M2A1 modifications, the frontal and side armour is differentiated combined, steel shield and aluminium plate with polyurethane foam filling the gap. To increase protection against mines, the bottom is reinforced with steel plate. The use of aluminium alloy armour provided a weight reduction of about 15% compared to the equally resistant steel armoured hull. In the upper frontal part of the BMP of the first series, M2 and A1, a flat-hinged wave breaker shield was installed. It was eliminated starting from the A2 modification. For combat operations on contaminated terrain, the vehicle is equipped with a filter ventilation unit. The filter ventilation unit serves only the crew seats. The troopers must rely on personal protective equipment. The engine and transmission compartment is located in the front right side of the hull. Access to the material and technical support is through a hatch in the upper frontal plate. The mechanic driver is located in the control compartment located to the left of the material and technical support. The mechanic driver's hatch cover is hinged backwards and has a mechanism for locking it in the open position. The troop compartment is located in the rear of the vehicle and is separated from the combat compartment by a partition with a passageway. Paratroopers are located in the compartment as follows: 2 in the rear part on the starboard side, 2 by the ramp, and 2 in the middle part on the port side. Seats for paratroopers are cushioned with folding backrests. Each paratrooper's seat is equipped with prismatic sighting blocks and a fixed 5.56mm M231 FPW assault rifle in a ball mount. Access to the troop compartment is via the rear hinged ramp or the overhead hatch. In combat conditions, accelerated landing of paratroopers is done through the ramp. Otherwise, as a rule, the door on the left side of the ramp is used. The top hatch cover is pyramidal in shape and is hinged backwards. The upper hatch is mainly used for reloading the TOW's ATGM launcher. 5 ATGMs are located on the port side at the rear of the troop compartment. The armament of the M2 Bradley consists of the M242 Bushmaster 25mm cannon, 7.62 M240C machine gun, TOW ATGM launcher, and 6 detachable 5.56 231 FPW weapon modifications of the M16A1 Rifle He mechanic driver's hatch cover is hinged backwards and has a mechanism for locking it in the open position. The M2A4 uses lightweight tracks and longer travel shock absorbers that work together with reinforced torsion bars. This increased the ground clearance from 380 to 510mm. The new BMP also received the Force Déviant Battle Command Brigade and Below Digital System, which is designed to increase situational awareness on the battlefield. The system collects information about targets in real time, providing a complete picture on the display of the commander and the vehicle's driver. In addition, the APCs can exchange data via secure channels. The armament of the vehicle remained the same, but the control systems were upgraded. Thus, the vehicle received an improved fire control system with a new ballistic computer. This allows the Bradley to automatically track 2 targets and adjust the gun. The American M2 Bradley received its military test in Operation Desert Storm, a combat operation against Iraqi forces during the war for the liberation of Kuwait. This war was also the first time that the M2 Bradley was used against its Soviet counterpart, the BMP-1 infantry fighting vehicle and the BMP-2, which Iraq purchased in 1986. In September 2020, a certain number of M2A2 Bradleys were deployed to reinforce the US contingent in Operation Inherent Resolve in eastern Syria. This decision was made after the incident on the 26th of August, when Russian armoured personnel carriers rammed into American armoured vehicles. The reinforcement of the US contingent with infantry fighting vehicles helped to stabilise and defuse the situation. Among other things, they helped to repel an attack by ISIS militants on a prison in Hasaka in January 2022. In February 2022, a US military transport
Hope you like this
aircraft,
video. Do not forget to
C-17
like and
Globemaster,
subscribe.
delivered
See you soon.
additional M2A3 Bradleys to northeastern Syria to reinforce the local military contingent. Since 2023, the vehicles have been supplied to Ukraine as part of the ITA. Their use in combat by Ukrainian units during the counteroffensive in southern Ukraine has shown significantly better protection of the vehicle compared to Soviet BMP-1S, especially mine protection. The soldiers also noted the vehicle's high repairability. Hope you like this video. Do not forget to like and subscribe. See you soon.